Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Folks, today is Friday, July 11, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. An appeals court has overturned the mortgage fraud conviction of former Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby, but they upheld the perjury conviction. We'll talk about that. Also, Georgia Secretary of State plans to remove 500,000 people from the voting rolls. Y'all know it's a lot of black folks in that roundup. Plus, the White House puts out this AI image of Donald Trump as Superman. Y'all notice how mainstream media is quiet as hell? They fully accept the craziness of him, but if President Joe Biden made one slip up of a word, oh my God, we have massive coverage of there being cognitive decline. Also on today's show, a lot of these Trump people saying, we didn't vote for this, including comedian Andrew Schultz. Yeah, you did. You just too stupid to pay attention. Also, on today's show, folks, I got a few words. There's a lot of chatter about Essence Fest and what happened. A lot of attacks on a Liberian American owning Essence Fest. But I need to explain to all of y'all people who all of a sudden are media business experts that you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Georgia plans to remove nearly 500,000 people from the voting rolls. They have a law called Use It or Lose It. And the folks impacted, they are calling them inactive voters. Well, they have 40 days to correct this or not. It's one of the largest voting purges in American history. Now, obviously, we've seen this before. And we've seen Georgia be one of the leaders in doing it. Now, the Supreme Court allowed states to do this here. There was a white man in Ohio who sued because he was removed from the voting rolls. Well, the Supreme Court allowed that to happen, which actually was pretty stupid to me, them allowing that to do so. But the question then, how is that going to impact black voters? Oh, by the way, there's a huge United States Senate election next year in Georgia, where, of course, Democratic Senator John Ossoff will be facing competition. A major Republican challenger has not appeared yet, but it is going to come. Joining us right now is Robert Weiner, the director of the Voting Rights Project, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, Georgia State Representative El Mahdi Holly. joins us as well. Glad to have both of y'all here. First and foremost, Representative Holly, walk us through this for people who don't understand the law in Georgia and why the Secretary of State is allowed to do this.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you, Roland, for making this such a serious point to discuss right now, especially ahead of our current Public Service Commissioner election. For those members who have long understood where Georgia stands with respect to voting rights, you know that our state is like a lot of southern states, that these states that have been impacted because of the institution of slavery, and the federal government has had to come in and actually provide oversight to make sure that people could exercise their right to vote. That was certainly true for, during Reconstruction. We saw it even more in the years following, during the 1960s, up until around 2018, when you had 2013 Shelby v. Holder case, which really said that states no longer are required to clear a state's maps for those voting maps, because they had to go and get federal oversight because the states were found to have been discriminatory. And so what we've seen probably over the last 10 or so years is that mainly Republican-led states are so busy purging voters from the rolls. And we're not talking about voters that have been found to have been criminal or found to have been non-citizens. No, we're talking about eligible voters that are actually being purged by the hundreds of thousands. And it's simply because they have not chosen to exercise their right to vote and cast it for a politician. So think about that.
Now, here's another question.
Yeah.
How long is it? One election, 2, 3, sort of what's the number?
Well, the thing is that if you look at Georgia history, in the 2018 election, usually it happens after a federal election cycle that these purges occur. And in 2018, roughly 534,000 Georgians were purged from the voter rolls. Now, Secretary of State Raffensperger, his accomplice, and his Gabriel Sterling, they're looking to actually purge 500,000 voters from the voter rolls. And so you can think about that. It's not because they're found to be un-American. These are people who simply chose not to vote for a politician. So even though the United States Constitution guarantees them that right to vote, in the state of Georgia, it has targeted so many voters. Many times we find are persons of color, as well as even young people. They are disproportionately represented in the list of purged voters than those who are actually registered to vote. And so it's wrong, but that's why we have to make sure that we can encourage voters to stay on top of it. You got to check it or you risk getting X'd out.
Robert, what can people actually do? Because, listen, I constantly tell people on this show, hey, register every year. There's no law that says you can't fill it out. They always come up with these different rules. Whatever your current address is, register right now and always double check and verify.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to keep on top of it, or else you're going to lose that right. But it's not just the people who haven't voted. This purge is going to target people who are unhoused. If you live in a facility that is not zoned for housing, they'll assume that that's a mistake, and therefore you should be purged from the rolls unless you respond. Or if you live in a facility that has more than 10 people at that address, well, there's lots of people in extended families, especially in immigrant communities. That used to be seen as a good thing, that you live with your grandparents and your children. But now in Georgia, that is a basis for getting removed from the rolls. And you have to be able then to go back and if you see the postcard, if you get the postcard, turn it back in and verify that you are who you say you are. But there's lots of mistakes, and as you indicated, those mistakes seem to fall more heavily on communities of color.
Greg Palast on this show many times talking about these issues over and over and over again. And it seems as we just keep coming back to Georgia over and over and over again. And so, Representative Holly, it's like Republicans, this is what they frankly look forward to doing.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at 2018, I still remember a study from the United States Commission on Civil Rights, where it found that for those states that had previously were required by Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act to get clearance from a federal judge to make sure that their maps were found to actually be fair for all citizens to be able to cast their ballot. Of all the states that were actually monitored, you still have Georgia leading them with these voter suppression tactics of changing voter ID laws, polling precinct closures, early cutoffs, having really narrow windows for these dates and times to schedule a vote, requiring legal Americans to provide proof of citizenship. And these mass purges that we're seeing here, 500,000. And Roland, just to kind of give you some perspective on that, you had 5.3 million Georgians who cast their ballot in the 2024 elections. 5.3 million. This is a purge to clear off 500,000 instantly if they don't respond within a 40-day window to make sure that they can be seen as eligible. So in Georgia, we see that ahead of election cycles, that amount, that percentage, which mind you, even though it's maybe 6% of the total Georgians who live here, but that's 10% of those who cast their ballot in the 2024 elections. That can change the outcomes. And what we're seeing is that particularly is very detrimental for those Latino, Black, those working class voters in our state who may not be able to go and stop their jobs, stop their priorities as working class people, and hurry up within a 40-day window and make sure that they can be counted as voting American citizens that they currently are.
So, Robert, what do we do?
Well, one thing we do is we try to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act.
But here's the deal, Robert, here's the reality. Republicans control the House,
yes.
They control the Senate, Trump is in the White House. That ain't happening. So, I mean, it's not. So right now, what do we tell our people? What do we do right now?
Yeah, well, that is an obstacle to passing that. We just have to tell people that they need to register, they need to vote, they need to check whether they are on the list. There is a website you can go to see if your name is on that list, and you can do something about it. But it really requires the people in Georgia. Stacey Abrams ran such an amazing campaign a few years ago, and the get out the vote effort and the registration effort is really phenomenal. 93% registration rate. That is great. And I hate to say those really able people have more work to do, but they do. They're just going to have to get out there and go door to door and make sure people know what their rights are, then that they exercise them.
All right, then, gentlemen, we absolutely appreciate y'all joining us on the show. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go to my panel right now, introduce them. Glad to have them. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Washington, D.C. Michael Imhotep, host of the African History Network show from Detroit, joins us as well. We also, of course, have Ben Dixon, pastor, and, of course, very, very out here with his own digital show as well. Glad to have y'all here. Listen, I had to pose the question that way, Ben, and it's very simple. Listen, the John Lewis Act ain't getting passed. Okay, they control it. So our focus right now has to be, This is the strategy we must employ to be able to drive this thing out, to alert people what's going on. I just, look, I appreciate the folk who file lawsuits, who do all of those different things, but this requires an on-the-ground effort to make sure that those folks are not disenfranchised right now.
Absolutely, and I love your suggestion is that they should register. We should register every year. It should almost be a matter of routine and ritual, because we understand that this is the tactic that they employ every single opportunity that they get. They will take every measure possible to disenfranchise us from our vote. And if this has to become our ritual, our routine, then we will overcome it. Because if it was simply a matter of them, our vote not mattering, then they would not go through these hurdles that they go through every year. I was taken off the roll back in 2004 and wasn't able to vote back then because of the same exact type of purge. And it always disproportionately targets Black people, without a doubt. And so they can claim that this is a neutral process, but their neutral process always seems to hinder Black folks.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the thing for me, Michael, there are what I call short, mid, and long-term goals. The long-term goal is passing the John Lewis Act. Okay? Here's the whole deal. Biden was in the White House, couldn't get it done. Why? Democrats control the House. Then you had the Senate, didn't have 60 votes. Couldn't get it done. Couldn't use the reconciliation process. Couldn't get it done. Correct. So there has to be an effort right now to say, okay, getting the word out, re-register. Don't even wait on the postcard. Just re-register. Right now, re-register with your new address. Boom, that's what you do. That way you don't go through the process of election day, you go vote, provisional ballot. Provisional ballots are not always counted. We ain't trying to go through all that. No, re-register right now. Don't even wait. Do it. It doesn't cost you anything to re-register to vote.
Absolutely. So I'm glad we're having this conversation, because this is straight out of Project 2025. And this is like a modern day poll tax coming from Georgia, which is a former Confederate state. So what happens is Republicans continue to show us that they fear the African-American vote and the power of the African-American vote more than many of us value our vote. And Georgia has a deep history of voter suppression. When you look at Senate Bill 201 that passed in 2021, it passed in Georgia. That was the first state to have those voter suppression laws right after the 2021 election. They pushed the fiction of the big lie, even though all the evidence came out stating that the election was not stolen.
But Michael, here's the deal. I understand all of that. What I am saying is our strategy has to be a now strategy. I know what they did in 2021. I know what they did in 2022.
I'm connecting it to now.
No. What I'm saying is, no. I don't want to connect to now. Our people need to know what to do now. What to do right now. They can't file lawsuits. They can't pass a bill. But we have to get people minds right now. What must they do today?
You got to register. You have to re-register to vote. Educate people on the need to re-register to vote, but also educate them on how what's on the ballot coming up the next election impacts every aspect of their lives as well, and why it's important to vote also. How all these policies are determined by what's put in place, are determined by who votes and who registers to vote.
Yeah, but here's it.
Connect all that.
But here's the issue we're facing, though. See, I can't have hypothetical. Here's the problem. A lot of these people are inactive voters. So I can't, so I can't say, I need you to vote. First of all, you're already inactive. So what has to happen is
register to vote.
No. Follow me here. These people are already registered. They're inactive, meaning they did not vote. So what has to be happening is
within 4 years.
Right, which means they ain't voted in 4 years.
I understand.
Which means that the folk who are running and the third-party groups out here We have to be doing our part. The reason I'm saying that, I pulled this up last night. I was texting, this is what I pulled up a text last night. Bishop Barber sent this to us today. We were talking about, and I was talking about, there was a video that Zoran Mamdani posted, which I thought was a fantastic video. And this is what Bishop Barber said. In the North and in the South, we're going to have to do a lot because, frankly, the party's all over the place. Our problem in the South is many want to do rallies, but not organizing. Mm-hmm. One church group in North Carolina has 10,000 churches, but they don't do a church-by-church campaign where each church organizes 90% of its members. Most of the time, the pastor does one sermon and then says, my people voted. They don't organize in a mile radius around the church. So he says that the model has to be where we are right now. We can't be waiting on a party to organize and mobilize. I agree. And so what I'm saying is, if a person ain't voted in 4 years, then saying, I need y'all to vote ain't the answer. I have to now be communicating.
That's not what I said.
I got you. And okay, go ahead.
This is what I'm trying to explain to you. Yes, they have to re-register the vote, but we have to connect why they need to re-register the vote to the actual policies and the outcomes that they say that they want. You have to connect all that together and educate them on how all that's connected and mobilize them. This explains to you why you have to re-register the vote. If you haven't voted in 4 years and you didn't vote in the 2024 election, then there's some type of disconnect there. So we have to connect all that together. It's not enough to say, I need you to vote. I need you to re-register to vote. No, you have to explain to the people the why and the what and how this impacts every aspect of your life. And the disconnect. And it has to be massive ground mobilization. Yeah. We can't wait on the Democratic Party. We can't wait. Nobody is coming to save us.
And the disconnect, Matt, is that the way we communicate issues, they're frankly not in a way where a person goes, wow, got it. And so that's what I'm saying. So again, we can be mad and upset with the purge, but the purge is going to happen. What I'm saying is we got to be sitting back and say, hold up. They about to purge 500,000 people because they ain't voted in 4 years. Why ain't those folks voted in 4 years? And that means they ain't voted in no election in 4 years. So what is it? Yeah. So how can we now, again, mobilize, organize to communicate, to reach them, to touch them, to teach them? That's what has to be happening, and we can't wait until September of 26. It has to be happening now.
Yeah, I think the answer is E, all of the above. I think you and Michael were both speaking to it. I mean, I think Michael's point is incredibly important because when people realize the deliverables that they're getting from voting and or holding people accountable and putting the right people into office, then they recognize the import of casting their vote, right? But not only that, I mean, a rally or one-time sermon or points in time where you're discussing voting rather than sustained efforts through organization is just not going to yield the effects of exactly what you're talking about, making sure you have a sustained drive. And the way you do that is by you telling people, unless you go to the polls, these kinds of things are going to continue happening. I mean, for instance, when I read the article in preparation of this, it's interesting because the way the Republicans are characterizing this is exactly the opposite. We're cleaning up the rolls. We're doing the right thing. We're making sure that we have people who want to be involved in the process, essentially involved in the process. And that's not how it should work. Sometimes people aren't going to check their registration. They're going to go to the polls and they're not going to realize that they're not able to cast their vote. So it's a matter of sustained organization in concert with telling them the benefits and the detriments to not voting.
My frustration when these things happen is that we bemoan, we lament, we're upset by their actions. Their actions has to cause a reaction. And I think where we sit today and what we are seeing And we're seeing, I talked about it last night, our numbers. If we hit a 70% total turnout of eligible black voters, we can sweep elections all across the board. But I can't get a turnout unless they're registered. I can't get them to register.
Right.
I can't get them to register unless I explain to them why the registration matters, then why the vote matters, and then they have to then see a return on their investment. That is, you said you were going to do this, and you actually did it, as opposed to broken promises. And we have to break this thing down and stop talking macro and be as micro as possible. And I always talk about it. It has to be an individual, a house, neighbors, street, block, neighborhood, city, state, country. And I think too often we're operating macro. When I visited Ohio, I was in Ohio, Michigan. I was in several battleground states last year. I remember I was in a restaurant. I was in Cincinnati, and it was a Brothers Alpha. And he said, hey, man, yeah, tomorrow we got voter registration at the game. And I was like, what game? He said, the Bengals game. I said, why? He's like, what do you mean? I said, why are you doing voter registration in the Bengals game? I said, how many people are going to be at the Bengals game? Okay, what, whole 60, 70,000? How many people are you actually going to come across? All right, what? Maybe 100, maybe 200. I said, your time is better spent going to get the data of what are the highest, what are the largest black precincts in Cincinnati. And then looking at that data and then saying, okay, these are the largest black precincts. In this particular precinct, they had 400 eligible voters. But in last election, 78 voted. I said, now you can spend your time now trying to target the additional 322. I said, now think about that. That's just one precinct versus the number of people that you might get to register at the football game. I said, now imagine if, your Alpha chapter says we're going to target 3 precincts, and our goal is to touch every person who didn't vote, because the data's right there. It actually shows you who didn't vote. You can literally knock on their door. Data's right there. I just believe the way many of our groups are approaching this, Ben, I believe they're approaching it the wrong way. I believe what they're doing, they're trying to have a macro approach, and they hope people show up. They hope people register. I'm saying take the data, say we only are going to focus on this precinct, this precinct, this precinct, and we may very well be able to reach 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 voters. And now that's a lot more intense as opposed to some of the very broad, big things we do and having, those stupid ass rallies that the Harris campaign kept funding. And I was like, what are you doing? Go ahead.
No, I absolutely love that idea, the nesting approach. You start with the individual and you broaden it out layer by layer by layer to get to the neighborhood, community, to the state, to the nation. And I think one of the conversations that has to be had with, especially the people whose names are getting ready to be purged, is to tell them very directly, they're taking your vote away from you. One thing I know about Black people is the way to get us to do something is to tell us what we can't do. And so maybe we need to turn this on its head and make them actually pay for the fact that they're taking this away. And maybe, just maybe, it would incentivize people to realize that, hey, this is something they're taking from me. So maybe now it should really matter to me. And I think that the only way we can convey that is on a micro level, one person at a time, one community, one household at a time, one community at a time.
And again, if your church is very simple, it's your church. First of all, if you're a church, you need to survey your members. That is, how many registered voters are in the church? Then how many eligible voters are in the church, meaning 18 and older. What's the status of somebody who's incarcerated? Does the state have different procedures to get their right to vote back? You got to walk folks through that stuff. But then every church needs to then say, I need to know the zip code you're in. So now all of a sudden, if this, first of all, let's be real clear, it's only 4% mega churches in the country, and the average church in America has 100 or fewer people coming to a church. So let's just take a 250 member church. If I then do a survey of every single member in my church, and I now have this thing broken down by zip code, then I know in my church where they live, what zip codes that they are in. Now I can target differently. Then what I do as a church, I say, okay, we're going to do a 0.05, a 0.10, a 0.25 radius around the church. So we're going to say we're to go from here, 4 blocks that way, 4 blocks that way, 4 blocks that way, and then we're going to canvass door to door. My deal is keep it simple. It's a whole bunch of churches. Listen, I grew up in Clinton Park in Houston. On Fidelity Road, in our neighborhood, I think there were at least 14 to 18 churches on Fidelity Road where I grew up. Okay, fine, church. Don't do it yourself. 18 of those churches come together and say, we're going to canvass the neighborhood ourselves. That, to me, is what the approach that we have to be taking. And so I just don't want to complain about what the Republicans are doing. I want to beat their asses and then change the damn law so we don't have to deal with this crap every election cycle. Going to break. I'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Mass incarceration, Trump administration is doubling down on criminalization, and how it is profitable.
And there's something really, really perverse about saying that we need to put people in cages in order for other people to have jobs. Like, that is not how our economy should be built.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
Next on The Black Table with me, Greg Carr, the enigma of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. What really makes him tick? And what forces shaped his view of the world, the country, and Black America? The answer, I'm pretty sure, will shock you.
And he says, people think that I'm anachronistic. I am. I want to go backwards in time in order to move us forward into the future. He's very upfront about this.
We'll talk to Corey Robin, the man who wrote the book that reveals it all. That's next on The Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
What's good, y'all? This is Doug E. Fresh, and you're watching my brother Roland Martin Unfiltered as we go a little something like this. Hit it. It's real.
Okay, I'm about to play a 5-minute from a news conference today. It took place in New Orleans. It featured Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, featured Congressman Troy Carter, Steering and Policy Committee co-chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz of Florida, Robin Kelly of Illinois, Nanette Barragan of California. Okay. So today they were at a New Orleans clinic to talk about the importance of Medicaid providers. The Speaker of the House of Louisiana is the Speaker of the House is from Louisiana, Mike Johnson. Louisiana is just ahead of New Mexico in terms of the number of people going to lose Medicaid. But here's what I don't understand. You know what? Play the video first, and then I'm gonna tell you what my problem is with what I'm about to play.
The passage of Donald Trump's big, ugly bill, H.R. 1, represents the most devastating attack on America's health care in our nation's history. It cuts more than $1 trillion from health care, including $500 billion from Medicare, putting millions of Americans, including many here in Louisiana, at risk of losing coverage, facing skyrocketing costs and
All right, folks, so we have a technical issue, and so we're going to get that fixed. But I'm going to show you something. And see, this is why I'm really trying not, y'all know I'm trying not to cuss. But this is my problem with that. You have a news conference. Did y'all get it straight? All right, okay. So you have a news conference in New Orleans that's represented by Troy Carter to raise the issue about the bill that's already been passed. At least go to my iPad. Y'all, this right here, this is the congressional district of Mike Johnson. As you see right here, Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria, it extends all the way down south to Lake Charles. So that's Mike Johnson's district. Now, first of all, you see right here, you see how this carve-out piece right here, this shows you how they gerrymander. Like, that makes no sense at all. Like, why wouldn't it be a straight shot top to bottom? But that's how they do these maps. Okay, here's my problem. If you're going to hold a news conference talking about the devastating effects of the bill, which Mike Johnson voted for, why don't you have it in his district? Why don't you literally go to either Lake Charles or Shreveport or Monroe and you hold this news conference so the local media in Mike Johnson's district can cover it, and then you can rally the people in Mike Johnson's district, the organizations in Mike Johnson's district, and ask them, and the churches in Mike Johnson's district, and say, I need y'all to challenge him on why did he vote on a bill that's going to hurt his district. Great. All five are standing there in New Orleans. Why? That's not his district. Ben, I said to Obama and his people, why do y'all keep going to suburban Ohio and suburban Maryland and suburban Virginia, holding speeches and rallies touting the Affordable Care Act? I said, take that shit to the brokest, sickest, whitest, reddest district and say, I passed this bill for y'all because you are the brokest, you're the sickest, and you should be asking, why did your United States Senator and your U.S. Congressman vote against a bill when you are sick? Ben, your thoughts?
You know, Roland, at this point, I have to think it's a matter of complicity, right? Because at that level of politics, to excuse it away as them not knowing or incompetence, to me, is not acceptable. They have too many highly paid representatives and individuals who plan for them, strategists, consultants, because that's just common sense what you said, right? And it makes too good of sense for them to not understand and actually execute it. Go into the belly of the beast. Go into their districts. Go and confront them head on. Talk to the people who are being hurt the most. Talk to the people who voted for them who are going to be hurt the most. And it's that oversight, it's that inability to see something that simple, which goes back to what one of the brothers on the panel already said. We have to have our own organizing power, because if we allow the Democrats to keep doing this, whether it be fecklessness or complicity, we're going to keep finding ourselves as Black people at the mercy of either a party that is complicit with this power or just too incompetent to actually fight against it.
I get it. I get it. You want Louisiana media attention. Okay, I get it. But that's not who you talk to. Matt, you go and talk to his people and you say, y'all need to be asking him, why did he vote against you? What was his reason voting against you? And you say, here are the Medicaid recipients in this district. Here are the number of people in this district on SNAP with SNAP benefits. That's what you do. You get nothing going to New Orleans.
I don't know. I think I'll be the dissenting voice on this. I don't know that it's as, problematic for the message for it to be down the road in New Orleans as opposed to his district. I get the logic, but one, Louisiana isn't a huge state. Two, your first point on this is exactly what I thought. They probably thought that they have a much greater access to a larger swath of media there in New Orleans, and it's not like they can't have that same messaging 100 miles away. I get the logic. I think it's a different analysis in Texas or California. If you're talking about LA, you wouldn't go to Sacramento. I think it's a little different in Louisiana. And I think it's really more about the vigor that they deliver the message with, to say, Mike Johnson, your own Speaker of the House, is voting against your interest. Why didn't he vote for the interests that affect you? I think you say that, but I think doing it in New Orleans
does nothing.
To doing it in that district,
it does nothing.
I don't think it's as major and I don't think it has the effect.
Okay. What does it do? Okay, Matt. Matt. What does it do? You're talking in New Orleans, which is represented by Representative Troy Carter. What does that get you? He's already a Democrat. You have a lock on his seat. What does that do for you?
I mean, I get the logic, Roland, but you're in D.C., I'm in Texas. We're talking to people across the country. You mean to tell me that they can't have the same import in their message and the same vigor in their message 100 miles down the road? I mean, I get what you're saying.
No. Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. The reason you bring a representative from the House Democratic leader, a rep from Illinois, a rep from California, and a rep from Florida is you want to amplify the negative impacts of the bill, and the person who is the Speaker of the House who actually ramrodded the bill through is from Louisiana. So first of all, my strategy, here's the first thing. What is my strategy for even holding the event? So let's see. There's not a there's a U.S. Senate race that's next year, okay? The congressional races are every year. There's a mayoral election in October. They ain't talking local election. They're talking what happens in Congress. So if I am trying to say to the folk who are going to be hurt the most, this guy from this state screwed you, I'm going to his district. Ain't no Mike Johnson voters in New Orleans. None. Okay, so the media covers it, but that's just like an insular conversation. I'm not reaching.
But I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't think it is, though, right? I don't think it is, because the same phenomenon that you're talking about is applicable to people in all 50 states. I mean, I get that it's Mike Johnson's district is a stone's throw from there in New Orleans, but by that same logic, they could go to Florida. They could go to other places and go to rural wherever. And
yes,
say, you know,
and if you go to Florida, go to the district of a Republican who voted for it and hold up the data, because here's the thing. You already know what Fox News didn't cover. So what the goal, for the media goal is, I need to break through and get the message to the folk who may not even be aware of it, that, are y'all aware how sick y'all are? Are y'all? There's a member of Congress from from California. 2/3 of his district are on Medicaid. I will be on his ass. Yeah. To your point, I ain't going to L.A., I'm going to his district and say, see how he voted? Because I'm trying to take his ass out.
Yeah, and I get the logic. I'm just saying I don't think it really is a major difference. I think the real analysis needs to be on whether the messaging itself is effective, because, right, people across the country are going to be affected by the loss of this health care, number one. And number two, Louisiana's not a huge state, so doing it in New Orleans as opposed to up the road in Mike Johnson's, I think it's just a different thing than if you did it in Austin and you're talking about El Paso. No.
See, Matt, I think you're missing something, Matt. There's a thing called DMA. In media, it's called DMA. And that is, in the DMA is, what is the radius of the television signal? Monroe and Shreveport have their own TV stations. That's what I'm saying. Hakeem
wasn't it run by national media, though?
No. That's local news. This is my point. You're not talking national. Okay. Every congressional district in America is 850,000 people. It's every congressional district. The Democrats lost the House by a combined 1,700 votes. When you look at the races where they lost, 1,700 votes, okay? 1,700. They only need to win 4 or 5 seats to gain control of the House. So you got to pick off, you're not picking off U.S. senators. You're picking off individual House members. So my strategy has to be, Michael, I got to, what did we say on, hold on, let me find it. Because remember, we pulled it up.
No.
We pulled it up. This right here.
I totally understand.
This right here. This is your goal. This right here, this is your goal. There are 35 Republican House members who are in purple districts. These are the 35 you target. And here's my point. Troy Carter ain't on this list. So if you're going to do this, you do it in a place where you can actually flip the seat, Michael.
Yeah, this is what you're talking about is what I term as political pressure points. And Democrats oftentimes don't understand political pressure points. They'll preach to the choir. So they'll go and hold something like this in their own district after the bill is passed, after signing the law, things like this. No, you go into Mike Johnson's, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson's red district, and just so people understand, in the state of Louisiana, 1.6 million people are on Medicaid. It's expected that because of the bill that just passed, 158,000 people in Louisiana are going to lose their Medicaid coverage. And Mike Johnson helped push that bill through and did it to them. So you go to his district and you educate the people in his district what he did. Not only, Roland, will you get local TV coverage, news coverage, you're going to get local radio coverage also. because radio stations that have news departments, and I used to work at one, they go cover events like this as well. So you want to educate those people, put pressure on them. And unfortunately, a lot of Democrats have this 2026 strategy, really, but don't really understand how to implement this and utilize these political pressure points. We'll preach to the choir. So that's exactly what you do. Now, you had some Democrats that held town hall meetings during a recess, things like this, in Republican districts, right? Continue that strategy, okay? And hold these Medicaid forums like this in these vulnerable Republican districts, these 35 districts, and put the pressure on
them. The reason, and again, I need people who are watching and listening to understand why I'm so bothered by this. I go back to what I've said in this previous segment. Not macro is micro. They got to pick them off. Go to my iPad. You go to Kentucky, and you go to this SOB's district. You go to Andy Barr's district. You go to his district. And guess what? Do you know why you go to his district? Because you got a Senate race because Mitch McConnell is retiring. Kentucky has a Democratic governor. Hey, you could potentially flip Kentucky's Senate seat. That's where you go. I just think, again, when I was my first National Association of Black Journalists Convention, Ben, we go to New York. A group of us with Texas A&M. So we had luncheons and other events. And one of my classmates, Roland, why you ain't sitting with us at the luncheon? Because none of y'all can get me a job. Why am I going to sit with people who I already know? I'm going to sit at a table where I don't know nobody. They were like, damn, I ain't never thought about it that way. That's been my mentality my entire life. If I'm Jeffries, to Michael's point, I'm not going to preach to the choir. I'm trying to go recruit some new choir members. And wherever I go, I need to have cameras with me. And here's the media attention, Ben, that actually gets to what Matt said. If the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, shows up in the congressional district of Mike, matter of fact, if I'm Hakeem Jeffries, give me 1 second. Because I need everybody to understand something. House members have congressional offices. So, give me 1 second. I know it's on here. Boom, right here. Go to my iPad. These are the 5 congressional districts offices of Mike Johnson. I'm having my news conference outside of his damn office in Ruston, Ben. And you know what all the coverage is going to be? The coverage is going to be local, and it's going to be statewide, and it's going to be national. And it's going to be like, did y'all see what happened today? Hakeem Jeffries took 4 Democrats to the district of Speaker Mike Johnson and held a news conference outside of his office and held up placards showing how many people in his own district are going to be impacted by Medicaid cuts and SNAP cuts. The local story then becomes national. They ain't getting no coverage there in New Orleans. Matter of fact, I might be the only show in America that played a little bit of that news conference.
Roland, I feel your angst, and I share it, because we have to pause and ask ourselves, are these people equal to the task of fighting fascism as we're facing it right now? And again, I'm of the opinion, I might be one of the few, but I'm of the opinion that they know exactly what they're doing. This is the path of least resistance to get nothing done. There is a path of least resistance to get everything done, to stop MAGA, and you've already laid it out. Show up in their neighborhood, show up at their offices, knock on their doors. That's easy. That's good media. That's good publicity. That's what every politician would actually want if they were actually on our side. So I'm sorry, I'm of the opinion that Hakeem Jeffries may not really want to stop MAGA.
I just listen, I think, Michael, he does want to stop MAGA. I just think that you got to have what Dion always said, I need some folks with some dog in them.
Come on.
You can't play this thing nice. The old political paradigm is gone. Trump and MAGA has completely demolished that thing. Okay, listen, Republican presidential consultant, media commentator David Gergen died today. David Gergen, I was with him on CNN. David Gergen was very soft, very sensible, how he approached. That don't happen now. You got to sit here and scrap. You got to say, nah, this is war. This ain't boxing. This ain't even MMA. Nah, this is straight up, I got to take your ass out politically. And so the strategy has to be, all right, how can I call attention? How can we drive media attention? How can we build awareness? How can we piss them off? How can we get under their skin? That's how you do it. You say, and matter of fact, my ass would have done this here. I would have said, we're going to be in Louisiana all day. We're going to do one go back to my iPad. We're going to do an event I'm going to do it at the Ruston office. I'm going to do one at the DeRitter office. Right. I'm going to do one at the Bossier City office. And then I'm going to go to the campus of where they got a P.O. box, Northwestern State University. And if I say, you know what, I can't get Hakeem to be at all of them, that ain't a problem. Hakeem, you're going to do one in Ruston and the one closest to Ruston. Then we're going to send Debbie to one of the other ones, and we're going to send Robin to one of the other ones, and then we're going to send the other the woman from California to the other one, and we're going to sit here and blitz their ass. And you know what the coverage is going to be? House Democrats call out Speaker Mike Johnson in his own district on Friday. Local media going to cover it. Right. State media is going to cover it. National media is going to cover it. If I'm them, I'm live streaming every single one of the news conferences. I'm going to push it on social media and all the blogs, and I'm going to send the signal to everybody in the House leadership, we coming to your district next. And that's what I say. Next week, we coming to you. Freedom Caucus, we're going to hit all y'all. Doc, you got to have, if you're trying to win a game, the game plan that you won with 10, 15 years ago, different game plan. Right. It's a different game plan.
Exactly. Because it's a different game. So first and foremost, voters, regardless of whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, they want to vote for a fighter. They want to vote for somebody who's fighting for them. That goes back to the conversation that we had, I think it was last week when you had Jasmine Crockett on and I was on, and that's something that you all talked about. So that's number one. Number two, I've said it on this show before, and a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so, I just finished watching the last episode of the 4th season of Godfather of Harlem. I've said we need more politicians like a Bumpy Johnson. Because a Bumpy Johnson was straight up fighting the mafia, but he was also trying to protect Harlem and protect his people. So this is a different game that's being played. I think Hakeem Sekou Jeffries wants to defeat MAGA. Okay, I totally understand that, and I totally believe that. But the way that you have to go with this, you're fighting against something that's unorthodox. So you talked about MMA. The reason why people had to start cross-training in UFC was because the strikers were getting beaten by the grapplers. That's why strikers, people practicing karate, things like this, had to start studying Brazilian jiu-jitsu because they were getting their behinds kicked because it was unorthodox to them. So when you fight against an unorthodox opponent, you have to change your strategy. So this is what has to happen. And we have to realize that we have to have real fighters. And some of the people who are Democrat incumbents right now have to be voted out of office in more progressive Democrats who are sensible progressives, not this pie in the sky stuff, but sensible progressives who are fighters are going to have to replace them.
All right, folks, I got to go to a quick break. We come back, lots more to talk about. Marilyn Mosby's conviction overturned. Nigeria basically said to Trump, hell no, we ain't taking them damn prisoners, undocumented workers. Also, it's a whole bunch of Trump people like, we ain't vote for this. Yeah, you did. And I got a couple of things to say when it comes to Essence. And a lot of these people all of a sudden are on black-owned media experts. Yeah. I'm going to cover all of that. Don't forget, support the work that we do, folks. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You want to contribute to us via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Click the Cash App button to continue to contribute. Also, checks and money orders make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send them to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, less than 5% of the top executive positions in corporate America are held by women of color. We know it's not because of talent. A recent study says that it's microaggressions, unconscious bias, and limited opportunities being offered to women of color. On our next show, we're going to get incredible advice from Francine Parham, who's recently written a book sharing exactly what you need to do to make it up into the management ranks and get the earnings that you deserve.
I made a point to sit down and I made a point to talk to people. And I made a point to be very purposeful and thought-provoking when I spoke to them.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, the enigma of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. What really makes him tick? And what forces shaped his view of the world, the country, and Black America? The answer, I'm pretty sure, will shock you.
And he says, people think that I'm anachronistic. I am. I want to go backwards in time in order to move us forward into the future. He's very upfront about this.
We'll talk to Corey Robin, the man who wrote the book that reveals it all. That's next on the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
What's up, y'all? This is Wendell Haskins, a.k.a. Win Hogan at the original T-Golf Classic. And you know I watch Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Y'all, don't you just love these MAGA people who like, oh my God, we didn't vote for this. Oh my goodness, we didn't vote for this. We had a couple for you. Comedian Andrew Schultz talked about what's going on. And also the people at More Perfect Union, they put together their own video showing all of these crying MAGA people who are just shocked and stunned that these things are happening. But hashtag, we tried to tell you. Roll it.
I believe that about Trump. I believe when Trump, everything he campaigned on, I believe he wanted to do. And now he's doing the exact opposite thing of every single fucking thing.
I don't know what he's done. Yeah, exactly to your point. If you tell me, it's easier for me to believe you wanted to do all these things if any of them were happening in the way that you said they were.
To that point, like there'll be people that they'll DM me and be like, you see what your boy's doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for. Yeah. I want him to stop the wars. He's funding them. I want him to shrink spending, reduce the budget. He's increasing it. It's like everything that he said he's going to do, except sending immigrants back, And now he's even flip-flopped on that, which I kind of like. But he's like, oh, well, we kind of need the people working in restaurants, and we need our farmers. It's like everything that he said that he was going to do, that he campaigned
Well, he said
really
to
hard
us,
on.
which was important, and I thought it was good you pressed him on it, well, you got to start with the criminals in terms of deporting. I don't even know if the criminals are getting sent back. I know there's a lot of people with green cards getting sent back. There's people who aren't criminals getting sent back. I don't know if you're sending back the criminals first. You're definitely not doing it first. I don't know if you're sending them back at all. So nothing has happened.
My medication, it runs $20,000 a month without insurance. I make $800 a month. Oh, that will kill me. That would kill my friends. That would kill millions of people in this country if they lose their health care.
We're in California's District 22, a rural community in the state's Central Valley. This district voted for Trump for the first time in 2024, but now his policies threaten one of the benefits people here rely on the most.
It bothers me when people like Elon Musk say that people on those programs are the parasite class. It's just cruel.
Do you know anyone personally who voted for President Trump but depends on benefits like Medicaid?
Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people.
Trump promised a lot of things. I thought it would be more family values and those programs that we really need here.
One of those promises was to protect Medicaid, which 67% of people in this district rely on. It's the largest percentage of any district in the entire country.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, we're not going to touch it.
But his administration just proposed an $880 billion cut to Medicaid over the next 10 years. So we wanted to come here to find out how people are feeling about Trump and his administration's decision that could have a huge impact on one of the benefits they rely on the most. One resident who would be impacted by Medicaid cuts is 64-year-old Irma Arredondo, who voted for Trump in 2024. Irma has several chronic health issues, including type 1 diabetes. She's also a full-time caregiver for her daughter, who has cerebral palsy, and her sister, who has Turner syndrome.
Valerie has her medication for her seizures. She needs care of everything. And I just give massage to her hands, her legs. I stay with her until she falls asleep.
Sounds like you take really good care of her.
Oh, and my baby is my dog.
So you, your sister Irene, and your daughter Valerie, you're all on Medicaid. And how important is Medicaid for your family?
Can you imagine? We live on a daily basis with sicknesses. This is for the cholesterol too. This is also for my blood pressure.
So Medicaid pays for all of it?
Yes.
If you didn't have Medicaid, how much would this cost you? How much money?
Oh, thousands maybe.
Thousands. And that's just for you?
That's for me.
Not for your daughter? Not for your sister?
No. The medicine that my daughter takes for seizures, I won't be able to afford it. So we feel hopeless if those cuts come, you know. What we're going to do.
Irma was a farm worker for more than a decade. She believes that some of her and her children's health issues can be linked to the pesticides she was exposed to while working in the fields.
When I was pregnant with my child, I was working in the field. I remember it was this little airplane and sprayed us. But when my baby born, the doctor just said, "Uh-oh, something's missing." And when he gave me my baby doesn't have her arm.
So with these risks that you and your community face in agriculture, and then to have the system threaten to take away your health insurance, to take away protection, how does it make you feel?
Like I told you, I feel like these stubby nuts in the back, you know. But why? Why when we put food on their tables? You know, that we risk our health. Look at me right now. Look at me, how many sicknesses that I have. The COPD, I didn't have COPD at that time. We got all in the fields. Where else?
We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board.
The $880 billion in Medicaid cuts proposed in President Trump's budget will help pay to permanently extend his 2017 tax cuts.
The largest tax breaks would go to the wealthiest individuals. Are those your values?
No, that's not right. ¿Por qué van a hacer tanto recorte? Sí, tanto recorte. ¿En dónde lo van a poner ese dinero? ¿Dónde?
In the last election, who did you vote for?
I feel embarrassed to tell you, but before years, all the years back, since I got my citizenship, I said I was a Democrat, but then, in these last elections, I voted as a Republican. Why? Because I'm against abortion. Para mí, la palabra conservador es tener valores. I grew up with values, con las enseñanzas de mis padres.
Family values.
Family values.
Irma isn't the only one in District 22 who feels betrayed by the administration's plan to gut Medicaid.
The only people they're hurting are the poor people, people that really need the stuff. Elon Musk doesn't need it, Trump doesn't need it, and billionaires don't need it.
They're making out big time with this, but they're hurting people in the process.
District 22's representative is David Valadeo, a Republican who voted in favor of the budget resolution to cut Medicaid, after initially voicing concerns about how potential cuts to social programs could affect his constituents. If just 2 Republicans vote no on the final legislation, they could stop Medicaid from being cut.
The folks in this district have voted for him because he, in the past, has been able to stand up against his party. But now he's really stuck between a rock and a hard place because it seems as if the Trump administration is going to really ask for loyalty from him and for him to play ball on every single issue, not just the issues that play well in this district. And so that might mean that they expect him to vote for things that are going to hurt his constituents directly.
If we could go back to November, who would you vote for now, seeing what you see?
For either one.
You just wouldn't have voted?
None either.
It's very sad that there's no political leadership that you feel you can vote for.
Maybe, they can, like you said, Democrats or Republican. Maybe they have, I'm not going to say that everything is bad, but the most important things. But the only good things is for them. To us, always going to be the good things,
You feel that way? It's always going to be the bad things.
Always.
For you.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to say. I don't want to say I voted Republican.
Then he asked, if you could go back, I wouldn't vote. Okay, your ass just sat there and literally was crying about you might losing health care. In fact, I just want y'all to understand logic. I voted for Republicans because of abortion. But the same Republicans want to take away my health care and I could die. Oh. The same Republicans who claim they are pro-life gutted USAID. That's going to kill millions across the world. But you voted for them because of abortion. Now, let me be perfectly clear. I know some people who are ardent opponents of abortion. Okay, you're anti-abortion, but are you pro-life? Because, see, you can't call yourself pro-life if you support people who cut Medicaid. Because folks will die when rural hospitals shut down, when nursing homes shut down. You cannot call yourself pro-life voting for people who cut SNAP benefits when there's food insecurity in America and 30,000 people in America die annually due to hunger. You cannot call yourself pro-life if they are slashing international aid that's keeping people alive, that's keeping people alive when it comes to HIV/AIDS, when it comes to starvation. We can go on and on. Do y'all know that when Trump got in there and Elon Musk got in and they immediately cut off aid, that a 78-year-old woman in a Myanmar camp died because she went to the hospital every day to get oxygen, and when they cut the money off, then they couldn't give her the oxygen, and she died. But now you mad? Y'all, that's the silly, dumb shit we deal with in this country. That ain't no different than all these fools going, I want Trump getting there. Damn it, that's right. He better sit here and get rid of that damn Obamacare. Don't you touch my Affordable Care Act. It's the same thing. I'm sorry, Matt, all I have for them are thoughts and prayers.
I don't revel in people suffering, and I think it's tough for me to know that there are people suffering. But here's the thing. You have to suspend disbelief to vote for Trump when you know, even though he's, first off, promised he wasn't going to touch Medicaid. I mean, Medicaid covers 20% of the American population, 70 million people. Something like 40% of children are on Medicaid, and 60% of Medicaid benefits go to the elderly and people in nursing homes, right? So it's really like you had to know what you were voting for, and it's now that you're affected. I don't feel any sympathy for that. I don't want to see that people are needlessly suffering. But the other thing is, Trump is a known quantity. So it's not like this is a person who's not shown us who he was, how he moves, what his administration was going to do. I mean, Michael was talking about, and you were talking about Project 2025 on this show for a very long time before elections. People knew what they were voting for, and they didn't think they were going to be the ones affected. And now that they're affected, they're, calling a mea culpa. And you don't get to do that because in the meantime that you were casting that vote, you weren't thinking about your fellow citizens who were going to be affected by those policies. And now that you're casting that net, it's very hard to feel sympathy for you. But, I think we also have a much larger issue with our healthcare system in general. And the way it works. And I think we as a society need to make healthcare a primary human right so that, we don't have this patchwork of beneficiaries and patchwork of benefit systems. But I guess that's a conversation for a different time.
These folk, they are getting everything. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Ben, they're getting everything they voted for.
Yeah, I definitely identify with Matt and not, this is hard for me. And the reason it's hard for me is because the complexity of the issues, but the simplicity of the talking points that Republicans have mastered, for which we don't have a reply to. At least we don't have it in a meaningful way. Abortion, for example. There are people who will completely shut off every other part of their brain and focus on that without any reflection or any other layer. And to me, I believe that this is the threshold we had to go through, unfortunately. We had to come to this place where people would realize you've been had. But we have to make sure they have to understand why they've been had, because they did not look at the issues significantly enough, with enough clarity. They were one issue voter, and even on that issue that they voted for, they got played. And if we don't usher in a generation of a body politic that actually thinks, and realize that any party that is trying to sell you something simple as a single talking point like abortion, they're taking advantage of you. But I don't believe that we could have gotten to this place as a nation without going through this dark spot where now people are coming to their senses because it's hurting them. But if we don't seize on this moment and reveal to them, here's why you got played. Here's how you got played, because you leaned on one topic that they're not even true to, which is abortion. If we don't catalyze and capitalize on this moment, then Republicans are going to run the same exact play in 2026 and 2028 and going forward.
Michael, Gallup is a new poll out showing massive dissatisfaction with Trump's immigration plans. Republicans love it, but Democrats and independents absolutely not. His support is cratered, but guess what? We tried to tell you.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, because I have a list here. Number one, if you are against abortion, goddamn it, don't get an abortion. It's pretty simple, okay? And this is what happens when you have single issue voters, because the policies of Republicans decimate all the other issues you care about. You talked about USAID. As I said last week, it's suspected that 300,000 people worldwide have already died because of USAID being cut off. That's from the Boston University analysis. You talk about Medicaid. It's suspected that 51,000 Americans are going to die each year because of loss of Medicaid coverage. That's Yale University. When we look at MAGA is a death cult. Okay. Now, what I found interesting here, she said if she didn't vote for Republicans, she wasn't going to vote. I don't think she mentioned Kamala Harris at all. Like there wasn't a viable alternative. And this gets to something deeper. I don't know this woman. My heart goes out to her. But also we have to realize we're dealing with sexism in this country. And we're dealing with racism in this country.
You nice. My heart doesn't go out to her, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. We're dealing with sexism in this country. We're dealing with racism in this country. And within the Latino community, which is broad, you're talking about people coming from different countries. Okay. There is also a bias towards African Americans, because some Latinos identify more with their white ancestry than their Afro-Latino ancestry or Native American ancestry, what have you. Okay, so we're dealing with these multiple issues, but yeah, hashtag we tried to tell you, but this is what happens when you're stuck on stupid.
What did my homeboy say in that, when the white woman called him the N-word? I'm sorry, it's above me now. It's above me now. All right, y'all, speaking of stupid, you know what? Mainstream media, right wing, anything that Joe Biden said, these folk lost their damn mind. This is this dumb shit that Trump does. The White House literally put this on Twitter, y'all, of him dressed like Superman. And see, now go pull the tweet up. Pull the tweet up. Y'all have it. It's stupid. And what kills me is, again, if a Democrat had done any of this, if Kamala Harris had Joe Biden, they would be losing their mind. But see, they have normalized his sheer stupidity. The man posted the other week he was selling cologne. I mean, and again, it's like, crazy ass stuff. Oh, that's just Trump joking. That's just Trump joking. But these MAGA people really are stupid. So you know the new Superman movie came out. And Lord, they are losing their mind, y'all. They are losing their mind. They are mad because the director did the movie, and he talked about Superman being an immigrant. And, MAGA lose. I mean, they have been, like, really angry. They've been angry. They upset. They mad. They've been doing deep dives on a fictional movie, y'all, because James Gunn, the director, made clear how he was going to portray the character. And they sit in, look at this, they've gone woke. They've gone woke. Dean Cain, look at this here. Dean Cain. Superman has always stood for truth, justice, and the American way. And the American way is immigrant friendly. Okay? Tremendously immigrant friendly, but there are rules. I think that was a mistake by James Gunn to say it's an immigrant thing, and I think it's going to hurt the numbers on the movie. Really? Really? That's you, Dean Cain? Y'all know Dean Cain played Superman? I think Dean Cain forgot this scene.
Immigration and naturalization. We just need a quick look at your green card.
Green card.
Have the audio up, please.
Superman, I'm afraid until we get this cleared up, I'm going to have to ground you.
Superman, Emily.
Oh, hold up. I think y'all missed this. I'm gonna play it again. So, Cain like, hey man, don't be talking about no immigrant stuff. And Superman, is this you, Dean?
Superman, Emily Stevens with Immigration and Naturalization. We just need a quick look at your green card.
Green card.
You are an alien, are you not?
Superman, I'm afraid until we get this cleared up, I'm going to have to ground you.
Feel kind of stupid. He feels kind of stupid right now, Michael. Like, they literally had a scene of immigration, naturalization rolled up on you, saying you ain't got your green card. They're idiots.
Yeah, you know, Dean Cain starred on the TV show Lois and Clark, I think it was called, back in the 1990s, playing Superman. Yeah, this is probably coming back to haunt him. I saw some of his comments about this movie. And yes, Superman is an immigrant from another planet that comes and saves America, saves the world. But to say that they're going to lose viewers and things like this, people going to the movie. I'm not so sure about that because of this take on it. But at the same time, let's just be honest. DC movies don't do that well in the first place. Okay, let's just be honest. Okay, DC movies don't do that well in the first place. I don't know anybody that was waiting for a new Superman movie to come out. I'm sorry. Okay, but at the same time, yeah, this is ridiculous coming from the White House. This is what you got Texas floods. You got over 100 people missing. And this is the nonsense that the White House puts out on X, okay, Donald Trump. But it's important to note that I think black women are going to be Donald Trump's kryptonite.
Well, what was dumb, like literally, look at this tweet. This is from this idiot Clay Travis, okay, right winger. He goes, so Laura Travis, the only lawyer, former NFL cheerleader, superhero, movie nerd combo on the planet, says Superman is clearly a legal immigrant. And she texts me this 4-part legal analysis that makes it crystal clear. Now, y'all, I'm not playing that bullshit. I'm not playing it at all. It's like a 4.5-minute video. But that shows you how stupid you are. So now they try to say, no. But Superman is a legal immigrant. And I'm sorry. Dean Cain says it's going to hurt the box office. And Michael said, well, I don't know if it's going, what it's going to do. According to Deadline.com, Superman leaps to $55 million on Friday, now flying to $115 million opening. I think MAGA looks pretty stupid right now, Ben. Folk don't give a shit what they think about Superman being an immigrant. They're flocking to the movie theater.
Yeah, one thing we know about MAGA is they don't care about how stupid they look. That doesn't faze them. But I would like to lean in on one thing. I think this is, bear with me, but I think this is a sign of their fascism more than anything else, because there's two things that fascism has to do. One, it has to rewrite myths. It has to make sure that there's no story, no narrative, no archetype in our lexicon that goes against them. And so if they have to rewrite Superman, they'll do it no matter how stupid it makes them look in public. And then the other thing is memory. They have to erase memory. They need a generation to be born that never remember the fact that Superman has always been, all of our comic books for that matter, all of our science fiction, from Star Trek to X-Men, all of it has been woke, to make, to put a fine point on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that cracks me up, Matt. See, the MAGA's issue is they want everything done through the prism of whiteness, and especially white men, because that's also who controls media. All these cats with these shows, they're white men. Jesse Waters, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, Clay Travis, what's that other idiot? Buck Sexton, Eric Erickson, all these white guys, blah, 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 blah. And they're complaining with all, and looks like, look at this here. Look at this. James Gunn's Superman made $22.5 million in box office previews. The biggest of the year so far. I guess MAGA's whining and complaining had no impact. Matt?
Oh, well, I have 4 thoughts. The first is, if Superman is listening, I don't think you're subject to the jurisdiction of earthly law, so I'm happy to represent you for free being a citizen of Krypton, number 1. Number 2, as it relates to, immigrants, one of the things I think is very interesting here is the fact that Trump is now reversing course because he realizes that he wants to exploit the immigrants who are here working the jobs that Americans don't want to work. Let's be honest about it. That's the real hustle here, is that where they're okay with exploitive, conduct, where they're okay with getting more of a benefit than they give, they're okay with allowing that immigration. I will never forget. I knew a woman years ago, diehard Republican, who said, "Oh, I'm so against illegal immigration." But then she whispered, "But you know who you need to hire when you need a fence built." And that's exactly what this situation is, which is, now we're going to reverse course because we want to make sure there are people there picking the fruit that Americans don't want to pick. As to the AI thing, I think that is part and parcel with a lot of why we're seeing this F around and find out, is that people have latched on to the cult of Trump as a personality and not what he's actually going to do as a politician. And that's why the White House, it's crazy that the White House is tweeting out pictures like that. He's selling Teslas on the White House lawn. He's selling all the things that he's selling because for him, it's another grift. But for people who have bought into that cult, the pageantry of the Trumpism, it's about him and it's not about anything else. It's not about the actual political part of it. And the idea that it was going to kill the box office or whatever, I mean, that's just another, unsubstantiated thing. But it's ridiculous with immigration in particular because all these people are in favor of immigration until they can exploit the immigrant and then they're okay with them being here. And that to me is abhorrent and morally, dishonest.
Well, you can always bank on the idiots, but I also love it sometimes when the clapback is great. So, for instance, Nigeria, Trump has been telling all these African countries and others, y'all gonna take whoever we send you. Well, they be like, nah, we ain't quite doing that. We ain't doing that. So, I remember he met with these 5 African leaders earlier this week, earlier this week. And what happened? The Nigerian leader said, it's a foreign minister in Nigeria, Yusuf Tugar. He said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go Flav on this one. Roland.
Considerable pressure on African countries to accept Venezuelans to be deported from the U.S., some straight out of prison. It will be difficult for a country like Nigeria to accept Venezuelan prisoners into Nigeria. We have, in the famous words of, I don't know if you know the U.S. rap group called Public Enemy. If you do, then you'll remember a line from Flav, a member of the group, who said, Flav has problems of his own. I can't do nothing for you, men. We have enough problems of our own. We cannot accept Venezuelan deportees to Nigeria, for crying out loud. We already have 230 million people. you will be the same people that would castigate us if we acquiesce to accepting Venezuelans from U.S. prisons to be brought in.
Are we under pressure? Are we under pressure from the Americans, from the U.S.?
These are some of the discussions that have been ongoing, not just with Nigeria, but also with other countries.
My man, like now, nah, we good. Maddie, like now, Flavor Flav. It's Flavor Flav said.
No, we good.
I just think you got to be arrogant as hell, Ben, to go, oh, we going to send you whoever we want to send you if they ain't even from your country, and y'all better take them.
Yeah, there's no shortage of arrogance in Donald Trump and MAGA or against the absurdity of thinking that they could apply pressure to get that done, and just the absurdity of wanting to do it, right? But they're hanging this deportation thing as a threat over everyone, and they're also extending this threat to Black people on a regular basis across social media. They're pitching it as a threat. But if I could just invert that on its head, I mean, to get a free ticket out of Babylon before the fall, or to get a free ticket out of Egypt before the 10 plagues commence. I mean, because what Donald Trump is really doing to this country, it might be doing these immigrants a favor to get them out of here first. So anyone who's threatening to deport me, I honestly, Roland, at this point, I might take a free trip.
For all of my African friends, do this here. If Trump pulls this stuff again, y'all need to comment. This is all they got to do, Michael. It comes from Friday. To all my African friends, y'all ain't got to say nothing. This is universally known in Black America. Man, get out here with that bullshit. That's all they got to say. Gone.
Yeah, well.
Gone.
Well, I appreciate Yusuf Tugar referencing Public Enemy. They were a very influential hip-hop group, and one of their anthems was Fight the Power. And this is exactly what Nigeria is doing. Hopefully, President Tinubu does not acquiesce to Donald Trump. Hopefully, Nigeria will stand strong. Yes, they have their own problems. No, they don't need to acquiesce to a dictator, a tyrant, trying to deport people to a third country. Just like they did eight men to South Sudan. Okay, so this is something good. I hope it continues. But this is how Donald Trump thinks of African nations and African leaders that he collectively refers to as S-hole countries. He thinks he could just bully them and do whatever, and they're just going to accept it. Okay, so Africa has to unite and push back against this wannabe dictator, this tyrant.
Yeah, they right. No, we ain't taking nobody. I don't give a damn what you think. All right, y'all, going to the break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. We look at one of the most influential and prominent Black Americans of the 20th century. His work literally changed the world. Among other things, he played a major role in creating the United Nations. He was the first African American and first person of color to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And yet today, he is hardly a household name. We're talking, of course, about Ralph J. Bunche. A new book refers to him as the absolutely indispensable man.
His lifelong interest and passion in racial justice, specifically in the form of colonialism. And he saw his work as an activist and advocate for the Black community here in the United States as just the other side of the coin of his work trying to roll back European empire in Africa.
Author Cal Rostiala will join us to share his incredible story. That's on the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Coles.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson. Yo, it's your man Deion Cole from Blackish, and you watch
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Former Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby got some good news today. An appeals court ruled in her favor, overturning her mortgage fraud conviction. The U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals voted 2-1 that her case was, quote, improperly tried. That's right, improperly tried. In Maryland, Judge Stephanie Thacker and G. Stephen AG supported the former prosecutor. Judge Paul Niemeyer wrote a separate opinion agreeing with part of the majority decision and dissenting on other points. The court stated that the jury had received erroneous instructions regarding the proper venue for the case in upholding Mosby's 2 perjury convictions. The panel agreed with the trial judge's determination that evidence concerning her retirement fund withdrawals was both relevant and admissible. All right, then, folks. Now let's talk about this Emil Bove. Of course, he is really someone who has no business serving on the federal bench in a lifetime appointment. So when you give a questionnaire to turn to the Senate Judiciary Committee, well, he didn't answer the question as to whether or not Donald Trump could serve a 3rd term. He also offered no perspective on what happened on January 6th. Now, a whistleblower has come forward with notes showing that Bove pretty much said, F the Supreme Court, we can do what we want when it came to Abrego Garcia. He was asked, that Bove was asked that if he agreed with the 22nd Amendment, which prohibits a 3rd term, he said it wasn't appropriate for him to answer, quote, an abstract hypothetical scenario. I'm sorry, Matt. I don't recall a constitutional amendment being abstract.
No, it's not. And, you know, to add to this, I saw some lawyers primarily from New York talking about this, where one of their wives had worked with him and was like sounding the alarm, like under no circumstances can this guy become, you know, be on the federal bench, that what you see out in public is worse than what is, what you see behind closed doors with him is worse than what you're seeing out in public. And if you recall, if I remember correctly, he's the one who wrote that really strongly worded letter about dismissing the case against Eric Adams when the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney and her staff that were, you know, formerly U.S. Attorney didn't want to dismiss it. If you remember that, it was pretty heavy-handed. So none of this surprises me, but what's scary about this is, you know, I mean, the way the Supreme Court is ruling these days and the way the executive is given unfettered power via those rulings, you know, there's no real check on this, especially when you have a Congress that may pass him through, right? I mean, because they've got control of the Congress. So that's really, it's a terrifying thing. But here's a perfect example of a person who we really should have major questions about their temperament to be a judge and just their ability to be a fair jurist. Because right before I came on the show, I was talking to our runner here at the law firm about how in Texas, we're one of the few places where you can still directly elect a judge. And ironically, I was telling him the reason I think that's a problem is because a judge should not be partisan. You shouldn't step into her courtroom and say, she's a Republican, I'm not going to get a fair deal. Well, with Emil Bove, that is precisely what you're doing, because in all the capacities he's worked in, he's made it exceedingly clear that his job is to advance Donald Trump's agenda. So when you go into his federal courtroom, you are not going to get a fair shake, or you should at least have a very healthy skepticism about whether you will. And that's a problem, especially when you're shielded by the highest office in the land.
Michael, he calls a hypothetical. Last I checked, FDR was elected 4 times. He's the reason why the 22nd Amendment was passed. It was passed in 1947, ratified in 1951. So actually, it's not hypothetical. We actually have an example, and the example is why we have the 22nd Amendment.
Right. Well, he didn't want to comment on that because Donald Trump back in April said that he could serve a 3rd term. OK, and he also said when he was interviewed by Christian Welker for Meet the Press, he also said that his attorneys had figured out ways for them to do it. And I researched this, and they are absolutely correct. But they have to go to court to do it. There's a difference. Everybody has to understand this. There's a difference between running for a 3rd term and serving a 3rd term. He can't run for a 3rd term, but there are 3 ways he can serve a 3rd term without changing the U.S. Constitution. And it will get challenged in court. I guarantee you by the time it goes to court, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito would have resigned from the Supreme Court, and he would have appointed 2 more Supreme Court justices. Okay, and it involves Section 2 of the 25th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that nobody's talking about. I can elaborate if you want me to, because I've researched this. This is Donald Trump can serve a 3rd term. He can't run for a 3rd term. There's a huge difference. Okay, and what we need to look at is how.
Wait. For anybody listening,
go ahead.
Anybody listening? No, it's not that he can serve a 3rd term. No court has this legal theory they're floating. No court has ruled on that. They are saying
no. I said they have to go to court.
Right. What I'm saying, but you said he can serve a 3rd term. What I'm saying is no court has ruled on whether it's elected or serve any of that at all. They are floating that legal theory at the Constitution in terms of what the 22nd Amendment says. Go ahead.
Well, it's also about the 12th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. So they'll go to court to fight this, but I think they got a good chance of winning, because by the time this gets to the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito would have resigned. They would have retired. Would have retired.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with it, because the reality is they rule for him and everything anyway.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is it will be 5 Supreme Court justices he would have nominated. Even though it's not a guarantee, if all 5 rule for him, then it can.
Well, he's been pissed off with Coney Barrett or Gorsuch ruling against him, or even Kavanaugh. So what I'm saying is, so that's immaterial. The bottom line is what they're doing is the reason Bove does not want to address it, because he believes it, and so that's why Trump appointed him. He wants him on the federal. He wants him on the federal bench. Hold on, Ben.
Yeah, no, we're seeing the complete and total seizure of the judiciary, one judge at a time, right? And we see this across all the different levels of the judiciary. And this is the plan that 2025, as well as Donald Trump and his own individual plan, this is what they have been planning and rolling out and executing with efficiency. We have seen several of the Supreme Court rule against Donald Trump, but then we've also seen in some of the most critical decisions, they fall right in line. And so the Federalist Society, along with all of these institutions, they are prepared to make this happen on behalf of Donald Trump. And I think we have to govern ourselves accordingly. Like, this is, if we know the play, if we know the plan, we have to absolutely undermine it with every possible way that we can. I mean, I don't know exactly what all we can do, but we can't simply sit back and watch it unfold and be surprised when it happens.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, real quick.
First of all, we got to realize, yes, it can happen. Because if people think the shit can't happen, then they won't fight against it.
Well, Secondly, obviously, hold on. Obviously, it can happen, because at the end of the day, Supreme Court can make any ruling whatsoever. So we understand that. But it will be a significant legal fight if it actually gets to that. Okay, go.
Yeah, significant legal fight. Now, here's the thing. Donald Trump, because so much attention back in April was shined on him serving a 3rd term, and stories were being written about it, then he backed away from it, right? Just a couple of days ago, Laura Ingraham was in the White House, and he unveiled a Trump 2028. I think it was a jersey or something like that.
No, he actually, that was like a month ago. He actually did the exact same thing.
But here's the thing. He backed away from that.
First of all, him backing away is irrelevant. They've been selling. Hold up. They have been. Hold up. They have been actually selling Trump 2028 merchandise. Okay. Now, 20 seconds. Go.
Yeah, but this story here puts the focus back on it, right? And then you have Emil Bove saying he doesn't want to comment on it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, first of all, again, that's people. But which is another reason why his nomination is trouble across the board. And hopefully you have some of these Republicans who will have some guts. And there have been some other there have been some other judicial nominees that they've actually pulled off of the table as a result of them being too troublesome. So again, that's what we certainly hope happens in this case, folks. I got to cut it short. I got to go. We're out of time. I'm going to save my commentary for Essence on Monday, because I really need to unpack it for y'all. So let me thank Ben, let me thank Matt, let me thank Michael as well, folks. Appreciate that. Folks, listen, it's a whole lot going on, and what we want to do here, again, is with this show, with the other shows on the Black Star Network, providing you with a level of information that you're not getting elsewhere, really unpacking these things for you so you can understand what is happening in this country. Those are the things that actually has to happen. And so we want you to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars are critically important for us to do what we do. And so Cash App, your Stripe QR code, you see it right here. You can also, of course, see your check and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, and make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037 0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And so you can, of course, check everything out right there. In addition, what you can do is if you also want to support us, download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version I read on Audible. Folks, if you want to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered gear, we've had some issues with Custom Spring, and so, no, take that graphic down. We're not using that one. Don't take the graphic down. We're not using that one. We've had some issues with Custom Spring. Remove the graphic. We're not using that one. I'm about to explain why. And so go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, okay? Show the Shop Black, okay, show that one. So here's what we've done. We're using a second company. This is a trial run. We've had major problems with Custom Spring. People ordering their product, not getting their product, not getting a timely basis, taking a month and 2 months. And we have emailed them, we've talked to them, we've tried everything, and it's not getting better. And so we've added a second company. So go to my iPad, please. So if you go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, the same products you see there, you'll see here. You'll see our various T-shirts here. Don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. MAGA. MAGA chose between woke or broke. They chose broke. FAFO, Project 2025. You see hats. You see pillows, mugs, things along those lines. And so you can simply go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Here are the hoodies, the crew neck shirts. And so go right to shopblackstarnetwork.com. And let me be real clear. If you order something from Custom Spring, then you didn't get it, email us, okay? Go to RolandSMartin.com, click contact button, email us so we can help you get that. But right now, we want you to get our products from a different company at shopblackstarnetwork.com. My hope is that the products will get to you faster, be delivered to you. That's what we want to happen. And so please go to shopblackstarnetwork.com for that. Also, don't forget, download the app Fanbase. Get that, and then you can also, of course, if you want to invest, simply go to startengine.com/fanbase to get more information as well. Folks, that's it. As you know, every Friday, we always end the show rolling the names of all the people who have contributed to our show since we launched in September 2018. I will see you guys tomorrow right here on on Monday right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Roll our names, and then Truth Talks. Holla!